Before I start this video, I feel I need to kind of ask for forgiveness on an area of my life. When I decided to start doing videos again, now that my life was more focused around Christ, I felt like I needed to be doing more to spread His word in my videos. And although I've kind of touched on it a little bit, I really have not been giving it 100% as I should be. So in this video, I went ahead and recorded this to be played before we get into the video, because at the end of it I realized I didn't have anything in there yet. So and this is one of my favorite verses, and I think it really applies to this video in the way that, well, you'll see, because it just pertains to the video. What I'm getting ready to share with you is part of the letter that the prophet Jeremiah wrote to the Israelites when they were exiled, to offer them reassurance that God hadn't forgotten them, that He had a plan for them. And it goes like this: for I know the plans I have for you, declared the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. And I want to start off with that one today, because I'm going to be talking about the plans moving forward with these trucks. And as back in those times, the Lord's plans, we never know His reason for anything. If we're lucky, we get to see the purpose behind His actions and what's being the reasoning behind the blessings that we receive, whether we see them as blessings at the time or not. So yeah, this video is going to be all about the planning stage of the truck, and as I go through it, things will be revealed to me, not necessarily in a spiritual way, but revealed to me in a mechanical engineering kind of way, and maybe I will get some divine guidance on it. Hopefully I do. That would be awesome. But as I go through and I make measurements and I try to figure out how to get from point A to point B, there's going to be a lot of planning involved. And so moving forward, sometimes it won't be obvious at the time of why things are happening the way they are, why I put this here, or how this is going to fit there. But the end result is just the finished product, and what that is going to, how that's going to turn out. Somebody watching from the side, watching me do this work, might question a move that I've made. Why did you put that there? Why are you doing it this way? Questioning my plan, which is fine. I'm human. I definitely have made some questionable plans and decisions in my life. But when it comes to God's plan, we just have to trust in it. We have to trust that whatever happens, He's got a reason for it. We might not understand it at the time. We may go to our grave not knowing why He did the things that He did, and why our lives turned out the way they did. But we just have to trust Him. And so as I move forward in this video today, it's going to be about planning. It's going to be about making those decisions going forward to get the outcome that's needed. Trying not to trust so much in my own plan, but leave myself open. And I guess that's kind of the key here, is I have a plan in the sense that I know I want to get that cab onto that chassis. That's the plan. That's what I want to happen. But how that's going to happen, I don't know. All the picture, or I don't know all the pieces of the puzzle yet. But as they reveal themselves, I will act on them and plan accordingly. So let's get on to the video. Hey guys, Glenn for G&P Custom Fabrications. Welcome to day 2 of the Ready Mix Dually swap, as I guess I'm going to call it. I got a little bit of work done on the mixer truck the other day. Got the hood and grill off of it. I'll be doing the fenders next. And got in today. Andy brought over the donor truck, the Dodge Dually extended cab. checking it out, doing some measuring on it, seeing just what lines up and what doesn't. And so far, I'm still cautiously optimistic. I don't think it's going to be that big a deal. I say that, but first thing I did whenever I started looking at these, I was curious about the length of the engines, comparing the two of them and where they sit in relationship to the front axle. And they both measure out to about 36 inches from the rear of the head up to the fan, and they both seem to sit fairly centered on the axle. You can kind of see from here, I got them lined up with each other. But yeah, just basing off of the placement of the front axle and length of the engine, that was my two big hurdles I was worried about, is trying to get the cab to line up and not be too close and have to cut in the firewall. I'm thinking maybe I can get by not cutting in the firewall. That would be awesome if I can just leave it intact. I've got a lot of dismantling to do yet. Next will be pull the fenders off of the mixer truck so I can see better how the cab's mounted on there. I was just under there looking. I think I seen where the mounts was at. All the mounts on the Dodge will probably get cut off, cleaned up the frame. One big difference that I knew was going to be something that I'll have to address going into this is these old trucks like this, the frame's basically flat. It's just flat from front to back. And I know the newer trucks, they got a lot of up and down to them, like where the cab sits at. Sometimes they dip down. So I'll have to allow for that. And I wasn't sure. I figured I'd wait until he came over to find out, until he brought the truck over. But this is a four-wheel drive. That's not really an issue for me. In fact, I kind of prefer that I know it's heavier in front. I'm afraid it'd be sitting too low if it wasn't a four-wheel drive. Do have transfer case shifter that I'll have to deal with. That shouldn't be a big deal since I already have a lot of knobs and handles in the bottom of this one anyway, so that should not be a problem. I'm looking at a firewall. Let's see. Okay, I was hoping this had hydro boost brakes on it. It does not. It has the vacuum, and the batteries I know are going to be relocated. I'll probably make a battery box for the side, just like the old trucks would have had. Which this battery actually looks like it lived behind this panel here, because I can see it hanging down there. So I'll be taking that panel off and seeing what's underneath there. But yeah, worst case, I figure I'll just mount the batteries right here on the side. I plan on moving that fuel tank. That fuel tank would be on the truck in the same spot as it is now. And then I was going to look at, he said he wouldn't be opposed to running these seats, and I can separate them, so that's a good thing. He said get rid of the center console and maybe put the two newer seats in there. I'll have to look at, a lot of times on the older trucks, your cab just isn't as long, so the newer seats sometimes don't fit as well in them. But we'll see what we can do on this. Kind of looking at, and he was wanting to incorporate the dash as much as we can of it into this one. And I see, I was wanting to, yeah, definitely. Let me check out the width here. Look at roughly 62 inches to the sill over here. Yeah, There it is. Yeah, to the door sill. Right there. About 62 inches. It's about how wide the dash is. And over here, click on that door handle. Yeah, we're looking at 48 inches. Yeah, so yeah, any thoughts of putting that directly over there definitely is not going to happen. Steering wheel, let's see, and the shifter, column shifter. Yeah, I'll have to take all that off and see how that firewall works out. But on Rat Dually, that was all one aluminum piece that those hung off of, that was supported by the steering wheel. So we'll see what we find. I'll go ahead and grab a screwdriver and get looking in there. Got electric brake control. Won't be needing that where we're going. Oh, and I will be selling off any parts that we don't use, but I'm not worried about parting anything out right now. Okay, yep, that's an aluminum fixture, just like the Ford has on it. And that bolts to the firewall. So that will be similar and easy to do. Got a lot of cruise control and all that stuff. That'd be awesome if I could make all that work. I'll see what I can do. No promises on that. But he was anticipating this steering wheel, which it does have tilt on it, which might make it a little bit easier. You can kind of see the angle of the truck steering wheel, how this one sits all the way up. So we'll see on that. But yeah, I won't know till I get into this dash. Let's see how wide. There we go. Dash is, or the gate, instrument cluster is 14. But if we can go from 2.5 to, what is that, 11.5, 2.5 to 11.5, 9 inches. So we get 9 inches of real estate in that other cluster. Then we might be able to do something with it. Let's find out what we got to play with in here. And this is all just planning stages, of course. Okay, and the little window right there is 9 inches. So a lot of that stuff there, even though this is a 12 valve, I know there's still a lot of computer stuff that I'm going to have to deal with to make it all work. Because I'm sure if it's automatic transmission, then it's probably computer controlled automatic transmission. So I'll have to deal with that. And now the width of it, looking at where that turbo sits at and that intake. That turbo might still live right here. It might be happy there. And just get an air breather, a cone filter, fit over it. Intercooler, did not think about that. May not run that. We will see. We're not really running for performance here. It's going to be just a cruise, so I'll talk to Andy about that. But yeah, I don't see that intercooler moving over, so I'll have to come up with different piping to get those to go together. Maybe anybody knows the Cummins Dually, or a non-intercooled 12 valve, and just have a straight across there. If they made one, let somebody out there knows, let me know. But yeah, this is new territory for me for sure. I mean, I'm familiar with a lot of the mechanics of it, but There's a lot on here that I am going to have to figure out how to make it happy. Start dismantling get the fenders off the mixer truck. Truck. Then I'll move to taking the fenders off of the Dodge, start seeing where everything's going to lay. Yeah, I'm looking at where that steering comes through the floor right there. I wonder how that's going to compare. This one is actually up on the firewall, but it has a universal to allow it to swing over. So my issue is going to be that booster. I'm afraid I'm going to have to go to a smaller booster to make that work. But that's part of the fun, don't you know? We got some real estate right there where the air breather is sitting and all that electronics is sitting. Booster might fit there. But yeah, this is it's going to be an adventure. I got dual batteries on it, which he said we'll figure something out on them. Like I said, I'll probably put them in the back, just run longer cables to it. And I'll have to get familiar with all the fuel lines and exactly how they work on this engine. Wasn't a bad looking truck for being a 96. Still in pretty decent shape. I mean, it's got some rot to it, but it's got good glass to it. There's a lot of stuff under there I have no intentions of using. Hopefully I can hold to that. That is not a big problem. He's not expecting any air conditioning, which is good because I don't see that happening. Or a heater. There's just a little overview for what I have in store for myself. I think that, I think it's going to be pretty straightforward. I think a lot of the issues that I was anticipating may not be too bad as far as the cab placement and the firewall and all that. I think I'm going to be fine there. And how I'll end up probably cutting the frame off the front of this one, cutting the frame off the front of the mixer truck and graphing it onto the front of the Dodge in order to get that bumper placed right. But we'll see. And I will try to include you guys in on as much as possible. A lot of it will probably just be high-speed disassembly type stuff. I mean, if you're good with that, I'll try to keep it entertaining and try not to go on too long with it. And it'll be just a lot of back and forth measuring and making stuff work. I'll try to include you guys in my thought process as we go. And if you guys have any suggestions, any comments, feel free to leave them below. If this is something that you find interesting, hit that like button. If it's kind of stuff that you're really into, hit the subscribe button if you're not already a subscriber. And feel free to comment, good, bad, don't matter. Just if I'm doing something wrong, I'd love to hear about it. So this is Glenn for G&P Custom Fabrications, living the dream till the freaking phone rings. Thanks for watching.